together tonight in our work session to look at our advisory committee registrants or whatever, volunteers, people who would like to be on our advisory committee, I guess is they're applicants. So, Marty, I'm going to let you kind of take over this, and then I'll take over when you want me to.
Okay, thank you. So a couple weeks ago, we put out a press release and asked for interested parties around the Capital, we're calling it Port Angeles Capital Advisory Committee. And so this was a process that the board had approved prior to the pandemic, and we just got back around to it, catching our breath after reopening schools. So reminder on your board agenda today, which is, let's see, 9.07 is the action that the board can take if you so choose this evening, assigning this team. The team, remember, is the superintendent, one certificated Stevens Middle School staff member, the Stevens Middle School principal, 6 members of the community, 2 board members, 1 classified member from Stevens Middle School, and maintenance and operations director. So we put out a press release and asked for interested parties for the 6 community members. And this evening, for your viewing pleasure, we have 5 applicants for those 6 seats. So, you know, the attached to each individual, you will have their application for membership, and you will have the attachment that's provided, which is supposed to be less than 500 words, with a personal history, prior experience in other committees, organizations, and clubs, and a statement as to why you want to serve on the committee. And then finally, for each applicant, we've attached a rubric that you can choose to use to score that each of the potential members. So of the 5, all 5 are complete applications with the exception of Lynn Broach, Brouch. And this is an individual that did have conversation with Jenny around his interest in this position, and submitted the application, but did not submit the the attached expectations around the personal history, prior experience, and his statement as to why you would like to serve. We tried to follow up with Lynn, and when Lynn did speak to Jenny the first time through, or when he reached out to ask to show his interest, he did reference that he would be out of the area for some time, and so we did not catch him prior to leaving the area. So we have 4 complete applications and 1 incomplete application for your consideration this evening. So really, it's looking at the 4 and determining your desire for the 4 completed applications, and then what you would direct me to do with Lynn's application. And then finally, our last part of this work session should be, we have the 1 remaining position. If the board acts on the first 5, and what do you advise me to carry out to place that 6th position? So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to Sandy, so you can lead the dialogue and discussion around the applicants.
Okay, thank you, Marty. First of all, has everybody seen this information? Everybody's read these letters and seen the information. Well, let's just go then to the first one on the top of my list here is Tara Horton. If you could access that information, Tara Horton is it says is a community member. She's a member of Franklin Elementary PTO, future Stevens and PHS parent, and she has lived here for 23 years. She attended Stevens Middle School, which I think is interesting, and as well as Port Angeles High and Peninsula College. And I thought she had a really good explanation of why she would like to do this. So what I guess I'd like for you to do is to tell me what you're thinking. Sarah, do you know her? Does anyone know Mrs. Horton? No? Okay, Sarah, what'd you think?
I love that we have a mom who's got some younger kids who might actually her kids might actually go to this school. I believe that Marty and I met her at when we were running the bond when we went to Franklin, correct? I'm having trouble for some reason pulling up the thing, but I think it was Franklin that we met her. So she had some really good pointed questions there. And I think I think anybody who takes the time to fill all this out is tops in my book.
Okay, she surely does seem interested. Katie, did you get to look at this?
I'm sorry, but I don't have the letters. I have the rubric, but not the letters.
Okay, well, I don't know. Jenny, any way we could get that to Katie or?
Send it again right now.
Okay, so I'll just move over to Jacob while you're waiting for that, Katie.
She's shown that she's she's shown that she's really interested in community activities and be involved in clubs and organizations. Her thoughts on what school should be align with mine as far as safe and healthy learning environment, both socially and emotionally. She's committed to having or to being a part of our community. So I think she's got my thumbs up.
Okay. Jenny, did you get any input from Cindy?
I just gave her the package today and she said she would review it, but I did tell her yesterday all the names of the applicants and she's really impressed with the names. So.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So she probably knows some of them, as we all know some of them. Well, with that in mind, we'll put that aside.
That, we should let Lynn Brooke move forward, especially since we don't have as many as we wanted at first.
Okay.
Did our student reps get these packets? Yes, Maisie's shaking her head. Yes. Did you all have any thoughts you wanted to share on any of these people? Maisie, I can't hear you. You're not muted, but I can't hear you.
I can't hear or see them.
I can see the girls. I just can't hear Maisie. But her mic seems like
Lakin
it's
is muted. Maisie is not muted. Maisie, you may need to check your audio input.
I didn't purposely leave them out. I just didn't know they were here.
No, I know you didn't. I was just curious if they had gotten the packet. If they had any insider knowledge or.
And they might well.
Oh.
So really the rubric was designed with the idea that we would end up with more than 6 applicants, obviously. So I guess the key question is, of the, the 5 applicants that we do have, what is your desire for, we can go through one by one, or we can take them lumped as a whole. My key consideration would be, what do we do with Lynn? And then, finally, what are we looking at for the 6th position?
Well, I think what we should do with Lynn, whatever the board thinks, but my opinion would be to try to get in touch with him and see. I mean, if he showed interest, and he's in construction, I believe he owns a construction company. Is that correct? Let me look here.
He runs
Big-
Brook.
Big construction company.
yeah.
Brook is big.
So
It's
he will
big.
be out of town for probably about 3 weeks now since last time I talked to him. And he said he would check in when he got back because he didn't have cell service.
Okay.
But I did leave him a message and say that we didn't get that portion of his application. So
So, sorry, who was that?
Lynn Brook.
That's Lynn Brook.
Okay. I have that
Why
letter.
don't we just put him aside for right now, if the board agrees to that?
Yeah,
And
that's
try to get more information from him when he returns?
That's fine by me.
Sarah, Katie?
You know, I've just browsed these applications real quick, but it looks like we have a nice variety.
We do. We have a wonder.
We have some
I
parents,
would
we
I
have,
would say
you know, several parents. actually.
yes to all of them. If you-
Right, and then also with Lynn Brooks' incomplete application, as long as, is it a he? I'm sorry. No pronouns on there, so. Well, if, as long as we can get a complete application, I feel like that would be appropriate to go forward with it. Since we are a little slim on the applications, do we plan on doing another advertisement or?
well, we really would, if we take all these, we just would need one more. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes.
Okay, so we would, if we accept these, then we would need one more for this part. And then Marty, what are we going to do about the rest of the people? Is the board going to look at them, or are you going to choose those people?
For the principal is obviously one, and
Yeah.
Nolan is one, and
Yeah.
the superintendent is one. But the
Yeah,
certificated and classified staff, provided that the board doesn't object, I'm working with Kristen, and Jenny's working with Kristen now around finding an interested staff member in each
Okay.
of those two classified and certificated ranks. So,
Okay.
and this was presented to the Stevens staff approximately 3 weeks ago. And so they know that we're looking. And so if we can find a couple of interested folks, I would like the ability to just place them on the team.
okay. Board, how do you feel about that? Everybody okay?
I'm outraged.
Outraged. Oh my God, Jake is outraged.
Okay, now I'm over
How outraged are you?
it. Sounds
Well,
good.
enough to vote
That's
aye.
quick. I'll tell you what I think. I think if people are going to take the amount of time to fill this out and show an interest in it, I can't imagine somebody's just going to do this on a lark. So I feel very confident that Marty would be able to judge whether or not somebody new coming in would be an appropriate fit. I think that the 5 people who have applied have obviously shown, in my opinion, good interest. And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not scoring one of the rubrics. I'm not going to be involved in that part. So of one of the applicants. So just so everyone knows, I'm not involved.
Well, okay. All right. Well, do I have any we've got 4 of us here. We have a quorum. I know we can't make any decisions right now, but when we have our meeting in a few minutes or so, I'm going to assume then that somebody will make a motion to accept these applicants.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, it's the final action item, I think.
Okay. Well, then that was easy, I guess.
Marty, when are we thinking that these meetings are going to start up with the whole group?
So I would like to, I mean, first we'll get them together in kind of an introductory statement of what we're looking to do. But I think our first official meeting will occur just after the start of the new year. And that seems to be appropriate, as that's about the time frame when we'll start to collect the capital tax. And so that team will be formulated and we can start the official work. So sometime probably mid-January, I'm going to guess, Sarah. But conversation prior to that.
Andy, would you like me to notify the applicants or did you want to?
No, you can notify them.
Okay, thank you.
So the key question for me now is if the board, so what I hear the board discussing to potentially take action on at the official meeting is acceptance of the 4 complete applications and acceptance of the 5th if Lynn completes the appropriate questions for personal history, prior experience, and a statement as to why he wants to serve. So if I'm reading you right, that's what I believe the board will potentially take action on at the 7 o'clock meeting. But then the key question for me then is, how do you want to handle the 6th position? Do you want to appoint that position? Do you want to advertise it again, looking for one additional, party to join? I would like some dialogue and some direction as to how you expect me to complete that task.
I would be hesitant to appoint somebody. I'd rather them us go public and say we need one more person. How did we do that, Jenny, when we did it originally? How did the message go out?
Oh, it went, Jen Spurline actually put that out. It had my name on it for sending the application to, or if they had any questions, they could call me. But it went out in our news, I think our news and notes, or whatever that one is, the visions that goes out to the community. And then it also was on our website, and it was also in the newspaper.
Okay.
Oh, and it was also on KONP almost every day. So I heard a lot of people heard it that way.
Oh, okay. Anybody have a creative suggestion, board?
I guess I agree with you, Sandy, that I think an advertisement for one more is a good idea. And then as far as, with so few applicants, there may be, it's just that one last chance for people to apply, right? We may still be filling two spots, so.
Well, that's true. I think that's a good idea. Then let's go ahead. Sarah, what do you think?
Sorry, I'm having a lot of trouble getting to my mute button for some reason. I think that's fine. I would hope that some folks would, I hope that we all would go out and maybe, talk it up to some people that we might know who would want to do it. So I'm sure that Jacob, you know some people who would be good on it.
Yeah, Jake, what do you think?
I can think of a couple people, but before I venture, let me think on it and make a couple calls. I want to make sure they have time, but there are some very active and concerned parents in our my realtor association, and the two that I'm thinking of, they're both really smart, very dedicated. I just want to make sure they have time before I brought it up. So let me reach out to them and we'll see if I can make it work.
Okay. And if anybody else knows somebody that they think might be good, we can reach out and say, this is going to be advertised. And if you're interested, this is the process to do it with. So, yeah, because we might get, as Katie said, we might need 2 people, depending on Mr. Brock or Brooke. And so, let's see that way. Jenny, can you do that? Re-advertise?
Of course, if that's what the board wishes, then we can go back out.
And also, what date would we have to, Marty? What date would you like to have this completed on?
Well, again, I would like to pull this group together officially for the first time, probably just after the first of the year. So we still have time to advertise again. Well, I like to give about 2.5, maybe 3 weeks of time for folks to consider that process. So I can map it out and bring the recommendation to the board probably at the meeting in December.
When you say map it out, what are we talking about?
The dates, like, how many weeks the window is open.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And advertise that again in the community.
Wouldn't we have to vote again, though?
Yeah, I can bring it back to, I can
Or not
bring,
vote, but have a resolution for those 2 places?
I can bring the interested parties back to the board at our meeting in December for your consideration.
Okay, that'd be great. Anybody else have any suggestions or ideas? Are you okay with that, board members? I see Maisie and Lakin. Hi, girls, young ladies. How are y'all? I'm glad to finally see you there.
Does my mic work?
Now it is.
Working?
Okay, thank you.
Sandy, so
Yeah.
did you pick a date when you wanted to have it closed for picking the 6 or maybe 2 more members if we don't get something from Glenbrook? Did you have a date, like maybe like November 9th, we could have the closing date. So then by November 12th, you could review the new applicants?
I'll do that, Jenny.
Okay.
Thank you, Marty. Okay. One of the things that we may want to look at or think about, if you do know somebody who might be interested, is to look at what we'd like to, what kind of skills we need on this committee beside being school people. I think we have parents now. Can you think of any other particular skill? Marty, you've gone through this before. I mean, do we need an attorney? Would an architect be good?
I think the real value of this team is having a nice representative group of the community, not necessarily professionally, but just,
Okay.
they represent who we are as Port Angeles residents. And so I think in looking at the applicants, I think we have pretty nice representation, started with regards to, PTA involvement and parent, business owners, government leaders.
You guys tell me if I'm crazy. We're trying to represent our entire community here. Thanks, yeah. Would it be weird to reach out to someone who is opposed to passing this levy? Someone who's vocal about it, but we find to be reasonable in their opposition to this, and put them on the committee to see how it all works? Or is that just going to be a mess?
That might be a mess. We really need, I'm not opposed to people coming on with differing viewpoints, but this is going to be a really difficult thing to do, this first go around, this first levy, construction levy, capital levy group. I don't know. What is in you, Sarah? What do you think?
I think it's just asking for trouble. We have heard from them. We heard from them in the election. And I think we need to move forward. We don't need to, I don't like going to meetings where everything is a firebomb and I want to go to a meeting that gets stuff done. And bring your attitude. I don't really think that the people who are represented right now are rubber stampers. I think there's going to be a lot of conversation around what is best, because somebody's going to come at it with a financial view and somebody's going to come at it as a teacher, and those two things don't always add up. And I think there will be some really robust discussion without falsely kind of trying to go out and find somebody to come throw bombs.
Okay.
That's just kind of, and I have to admit, I'm in sort of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Aversive state right now. This is going to be a couple really tough weeks. So I'm just, just holding on at this point. And I don't think I want to just go out and for the fun of it, get people who are going to do more anger. Now, if you think that you're going to bring something good, that's great. I want qualified people. I don't want just people who want to throw bombs.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I was just wondering about the philosophy of the whole thing. That's good.
That's just my philosophy. Other people might have better philosophies. Again, I'm in a highly aversive state right now. So.
Is that the fancy word for mood?
Yes. It's where you just kind of are in the mood to always go at the, I don't want to be in that. Right. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Certainly not everyone was.
We're not going to have any kung fu fighting in this
No.
group.
Get my
Katie,
Okay.
Katie, do you have any input there?
I think that with so few applicants, I think we're just going to have to do some word of mouth to get some applications to come in. So I really like the variety that I'm seeing so far. So you do want people that are interested, and you do need people that are willing to put in the time and attend. So, asking people who are opposed, I'm afraid we wouldn't get them to even attend some, consistently, or it's hard to say. I mean,
Okay. Well, Jacob, I appreciate your idea. Think we'll pass, maybe, or talk about it later. How about that?
But that doesn't mean that someone that, if we go out and ask for additional applicants, and somebody that, applies, the board will consider all applicants through that process. Because I agree with Sarah, if somebody takes the time to fill this out and has a passion to help, however he or she defines help, they'll be considered with all other applicants.
Right. I heard this saying, Marty, it's only help if it helps.
And it is what it is. Okay. Well, we're on our way to finish that task. Marty, do we have any other tasks that we need to talk about? I guess.
No. So this evening, Jenny, if you could write down those names on the board docs under 9.07, so that a motion can be made and action can be taken in a public meeting, I would appreciate it.
Will do.
Thank you. And remember, Lynn is contingent upon completion of the applicant.
Got it.
Okay. So,
All right.
is that it?
Yep. So we can come back at, this is the same room. We can come back at 7 o'clock and run the regular meeting.
Okay. See you all in a while.
Thank you.
I will be muted and video off, but I'll be leaving this area open. I'm going to pause the recording till 7, so feel free to turn your video and your camera, your mic and your video off, and remain here if you would prefer.
Okay.
Board meeting, I would like to welcome you to the October 22nd, 2020 Board of Directors Board meeting via Zoom. This meeting is being presented remotely for all attendees. Items to be mentioned before we begin is to note that this meeting is open to the public and is recorded. You can listen to all past board meetings by visiting board docs through our district website. If you have any comments you would like shared with the board of directors, please email the executive assistant to the superintendent, Jenny Wilson, at jwilson@portangeloschools.org. There will also be a portion of the meeting reserved for community comments. According to Board Policy 1400, the community comments portion of the agenda is an opportunity for members of the audience to make statements to the board regarding non-agenda items. Agenda items will be addressed as listed in the agenda. If you wish to share comments, please use the Q&A button located at the bottom of the Zoom conference window. Submit a brief summary of your non-agenda item or the correlating agenda item number, along with your name, and wait to be called on. When it is your turn to speak, your name will be called and your mic will be enabled. Before making your comments, please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes to speak, after which time your mic will be turned off. Video will not be enabled during your time. Accusations, foul language, other verbal abuse will not be tolerated. If you do so, you will be asked to refrain from using such language. If you continue to use inappropriate language, your mic will be turned off. If you have any concerns about individual district employees or specific complaints that require administrative response, please contact the office of the superintendent directly. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Christian, and welcome everybody to the October 2nd, 2020 meeting of the Port Angeles School District Board of Directors. We have just returned from a board work session where we discussed applications from the public in our community for posts on our Capital Advisory Committee. No action was taken, and with that, I'd like to say that we're all here. All directors are here except for Director Kelly, who is absent tonight. We'll begin each meeting with our flag salute, so if you would join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on indigenous lands of the coastal Salish people. I'm sorry, I lost that on my agenda. Excuse me. We acknowledge that we are on the indigenous lands of coastal Salish peoples who have reserved territory rights to this land, specifically the Clallam tribes. We thank these caretakers of this land who have lived and continue to live here since time immemorial. Okay, agenda approval.
President Long, this is Director
Yes.
Mattner. I would like to remove item 9.02 from the agenda. I believe we're going to be meeting with our tribal members next meeting, so I think that'd be a more appropriate time for us to talk about the Indian education.
All right, is there, does the board agree with that?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that will be removed. Jenny, will you remove that, please?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. All right, so we've looked at the agenda. Are there any other additions or a discussion about the agenda? If not, I'd like to hear a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Director Wright moves to approve the consent agenda.
Director Mattner will second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? No. The agenda is approved. Distribution of correspondence. Jenny, is there any correspondence?
Yes, just one magazine for President Long, District Administration Magazine.
Okay, well, I'll pick that up the next time I'm out there.
Thank you.
Okay, which brings us to awards, recognitions, and presentations. And our first 0.70.01, excuse me, is we're here to recognize our wonderful Hamilton Elementary School is one of the 4 schools in Washington to receive the National Blue Ribbon School Honors. If we may have someone speak to that? Marty?
Yes, thank you, President Long. I am going to ask that Michelle Olson introduce Gary Pringle and associated staff.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. It's so good to be here with you tonight. So I'm honored to introduce Gary Pringle, the principal of Hamilton, along with his staff, who I know are attending as well tonight. We have the honor of hearing about their school tonight, but we are especially honored to be able to recognize that Hamilton Elementary has received the National Blue Ribbon School Honor. This is an amazing award, and the Hamilton staff and families, students have worked very hard to demonstrate these high academic achievements. And so, again, just for a little bit of background, Hamilton is one of only 4 schools from Washington that were awarded the Blue Ribbon, and only among 367 across our nation. So this is the best of the best, and what an honor to have here in the Port Angeles School District. As you know, Hamilton has received numerous other awards over the last few years. And again, this is an overall academic performance recognition. Hamilton is among the state's highest performing schools as measured by the state assessments. And again, Gary, under his leadership, Hamilton staff and students are really committed to all students being successful learners, and often is referenced the Hamilton Way. And that Hamilton Way is really about the Hamilton vision. And that's to inspire and empower students, their families and staff to take on that challenging and exciting journey for academic excellence. So it's an honor to recognize the Hamilton staff, and an honor to recognize Gary Pringle for his amazing leadership and direction. So on behalf of Port Angeles School District, we're excited to extend this honor to Gary and his staff.
Thank you, Michelle. Gary, we're so proud of you. We're always proud of Hamilton. It seems like every year about this time, there's a special award being given to one of our schools, and you seem to be right there first in line for these awards. We're so proud of your staff and your students and their families and all the support staff that you have going at Hamilton. It takes everyone to get to where you've been. It takes great leadership, and I certainly admire you for yours. The Hamilton Way seems to be a very good, special way to get to great academic achievement. With that said, it's time for Gary to talk to us about Hamilton and tell us about the students of the month. So Gary, if you're ready, I'm going to turn it over to you. Is your mic unlocked?
I think he's working on it. Oh, hang on. Hang on, Gary, you're not unmuted.
Now.
There we are. Are we ready to rock and roll?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I was waiting because the mic was still red, and I'm going, I can't say anything while the mic is red there. Thank you very much. You know, I have an amazing staff, and more importantly, we have amazing families and students who work very hard. When we pull up the presentation, you know, there are 3 themes and expectations that we have of our students. Is we ask them to always do their best, treat each other with kindness. And we have a saying, and you guys have heard this before, where Hamilton Hawk heroes help themselves and others to learn. And then when I introduce the 2 students of the month, I'm going to give you some quotes from some of the fellow students when I let them know that these 2 had won. And again, I think that is more powerful. It's the voice of other students as opposed to the voice of myself or maybe even teachers. And see if you can see those themes come across, which is, you know, do your best, treat people with kindness, and take value in your learning and other learnings. So as soon as I see the presentation kind of go up.
Jenny, are you working on that? Just one moment, Gary. Jenny's working on it.
Yeah, I see your face. It's looking across the screen.
Gary, are your two students here tonight on the meeting?
I made them aware of it. I don't know because I can't see.
Okay.
Oh, there we are.
There you go.
Yeah, and so see down at the bottom, you'll see where Hamilton Hawk Heroes help themselves and others learn. So if you go to the next slide. And then the following one. Somewhere the 2 is missing. So let's go back to the beginning, shall we? There we are. That's what we were looking for. All right, so our 2 students are Kyra Brown and Gabe Hanks. Both are amazing students. So again, I remind you, there was those themes that we're going through. And so this is what students said of Kyra. She is always a kind person and very encouraging. Once when I had a very bad day, I was feeling very frustrated with my work and my grades. She encouraged me about my work and encouraged me to try harder and to persevere. Another student wrote, she is a very positive role model for everyone and completely deserves this award. She is a very kind and caring person, always willing to help anyone. About Gabriel, the 2 quotes that stand out. Gabe really deserves this award because he is a very hard worker and is a friend to everybody. And the second student went ahead and wrote, Gabe is a great student because he is always on tasks, works his hardest and does his best. He participates every time, never gives up, and asks for help whenever he needs it and gives help whenever asked. And I think those quotes say more than anything myself or any of our staff could say about these 2. They are truly Hamilton Hawk heroes and they are a fine example to other students. So congratulations to both Kyra and Gabe.
And we do congratulate them, and we will have a certificate for them. And hopefully I will get to meet them someday when they
When
get
I,
back into the classroom.
yeah, when I spoke with the parents, I went ahead and let them know that later on when we're able, we'll do the certificates. And if we're able to do a ceremony, we'll go ahead and do that as well. Or maybe President Long, you'll be able to just come and hand the certificate and we'll have a photo op.
Okay, I'll be glad to do it any way that would be good for the children. Just let me
Awesome.
know.
Thank you. Okay, so one of the, now I'm going straight into the presentation. So
That'll be fine.
One of the questions that I've been asked quite a bit was, what was the process for the Blue Ribbon Award? To be honest with you, I didn't even know that it existed until we were in Atlanta. And we were again looking at the Title I Distinguished School Award. And a member of OSPI came up to me and they had said, hey, we're really happy. We're really pleased with the results that you're getting as a Title I school. But we think that the work that your students and staff are doing deserve recognition, just not as Title I, but school-wide. So basically compared to all schools, not just Title I schools. So they said that they were going to nominate. Now, if you go to the next slide, please. And so again, the nomination was OSPI, and we were informed while we were in Atlanta. When they went in, and then they sent us the materials, because then they had to notify the Department of Education in Washington, D.C., and then that's when they sent us a series of questions regarding curriculum and instruction, academic supports, school climate and culture, student family engagement, school leadership, strategies for academic success. And then we also had to provide the data that we had, and they also went to OSPI. And this included the demographics, test scores from 2018 and 19. In 2018, we were in the 86th percentile. 2019, we're in the 90th percentile. That's across all schools. And then we had to send in our discipline report. And you guys saw much of that data last year when I gave my report there. So that was kind of the process. Once we went ahead and sent it to the Department of Education, we then had to go ahead and wait. And then they notified us that we had gone ahead and been awarded the blue ribbon. So we were pretty pleased to hear it. And I would like to add that I do think that this is an award that is truly deserved by the staff and the students. When we went ahead and were filling out this paperwork, I asked for volunteers of my team who wants to go ahead and fill this in, because it needed to be the voice of the staff and the parents and not my voice. And so they did all the work on it. Although I'm standing here getting kind of a lot of the credit, is truly the work of the staff and students. Next, please. Now let's go to the more important stuff right now. We know that the kindergartners came back, and this is the first week that we've had first and second graders back. So I thought we'd do a quick little walkthrough, a day in the life of a kindergarten in the AB hybrid, starting on day one. So these pieces are directly from kindergartners, so understand that. So we start our day with attestations, temperature checks, and sanitizer is what they're calling it. Next. We are still learning our left and right. We enjoy listening to our teacher recite the pledge. She has promised that we will memorize it soon, and then we eat breakfast. Now, I can tell you at this point, because it's been a week later since I've made this, the vast majority of them are able to recite most of it, although it gets a bit interesting at times. Next.
Always.
At breakfast, we wait until all of our friends have their food before we take off our masks. Again. Then we do all sorts of fun stuff. We read books, work on our letters, and have choice time. Now you'll notice on the picture, you'll see one student with a tub on the floor, and then you'll see it marked off with tape. Each one of our desks have a space next to it because we have to maintain social distance. We have a space next to it, and they have their individual tubs where they have all their choice time materials in there. So none of them are sharing the same materials. And it's been really interesting because these kindergartners don't know anything else. To them, okay, this is what happens in kindergarten. We all are at our desks, we all wear masks, we all have our space, and we all have our own tubs. And then they sit down, and they have done so well with it. And now that we have our first and second graders in, we have the same markings on the floors. They have just been amazing their first week in school. They've just flowed right into it. Before we go to the next slide, I'll tell you a quick little thing. On the first day of first grade and second grade, which was this Monday, there was a first grade girl and then a second grade girl who kind of had tears in their eyes. And when I was going around when they first got there, and I thought they were upset because, you know, they've been home for a long time, and, you know, sometimes kids get upset and sometimes parent gets upset when first day of school. And they both said the same thing, but in two different classrooms. I said, well, how can I help you? What's going on? And they said, oh, we're just so happy to be back at school and see our teachers, and we're just so happy to be, you know, doing schoolwork at a desk. They were just enthused to be back in the classroom. Next slide, please.
Precious.
In art, we are practicing following directions to create a masterpiece. Our Frankenstein paintings turned out so spooky. Yeah, there we are. We also eat again because in kindergarten, it requires a lot of energy. And then we go outside to play. At recess, we learned how to line up and walk in a line, keeping our social distance.
Oh, God, they are so cute.
Sometimes our playground equipment seems to be keeping social distance too. Finally, after a long day of fun learning, we take our packbacks and head for home. Thank you. That's all I have for you. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? Comments?
Those are the cutest little cherubs ever. Thank you for bringing us pictures of them, because I keep trying to explain to people that our kindergartners are smarter than adults. They get it. I mean, I know you might put it that they don't know any better, but I think they're just smarter than grown-ups are.
All right, thank you for the time. I appreciate the opportunity to go ahead and share what's happening at Hamilton, our first month and a half of school.
Thanks,
Thank
Gary.
you, Gary. And we're going to plan a trip out there pretty soon. We're very proud of you, and I can't wait to see you and
Thank
the
you.
children. All right. That brings us now down to 7.02. Excuse me, we've done that. United Way campaign update. And Carmen Geyer is here. Carmen, are you there?
I am. Hello.
There she is. Hi, welcome.
Thank you so much.
What would you like to share with us tonight?
Yeah, thank you. I will share my screen here. It'll just take a couple moments. Just gonna move this around. Can you all see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you, Sandy and the board for having me on tonight. And big congratulations to Hamilton Elementary on your Blue Ribbon Award. It's been incredible to listen in, and I just commend you for all you do. So congratulations. So yeah, my name is Carmen Geyer. I'm the Resource Development Manager for the United Way of Clallam County. United Way has been a health and human service leader in Clallam County for over 65 years. And as I'm sure the majority of you know, our office is located in the Central Services Building, and we are very grateful to have the support of the Port Angeles School District staff and be in a beautiful building that we get to walk into and take pride in every day. So thank you for having us. The United Way's mission is to strengthen our community by helping people live safe, healthy, and productive lives. We do this by being a constructive voice for human service needs in Clallam County, as well as providing a way for people to give, advocate, and volunteer in our community. And then, so our focus is on education, financial stability, and health. We believe that these are the building blocks to a good quality of life. So funds raised in Clallam County go to programs and projects addressing these three main focus areas. And we do this so that our community advances learning at all levels, that we achieve greater financial stability and improve the physical and mental well-being of everybody. This work helps improve situations for families today and strengthens the entire community for our future. So we support 24 local nonprofits in these areas of education, financial stability, and health. You can give to any nonprofit through the United Way as long as they're a 501c3. And I just wanted to point out that within these 24 local nonprofits, there are a good majority that benefit and support families within the Port Angeles School District. I wanted to highlight the Boys and Girls Club of the Olympic Peninsula, Camp Beausite Northwest, Clallam Mosaic, Concerned Citizens, First Step Family Support Center, Habitat for Humanity, Healthy Families of Clallam County, Lutheran Community Services, Olympic Community Action Program, so OLICAP, the Olympic Peninsula YMCA, Parenting Matters, Peninsula Behavioral Health, and Serenity House. So it's an honor to be able to speak on behalf of these organizations that are doing amazing things in our community. And especially right now, when we all can't gather and have fundraising events and all these things. So giving is of most importance right now. So we also have the Clallam, the United Way's Community Care Fund that you can designate to, as well as these 24 nonprofits. So by choosing the United Way Community Care Fund, your gifts will be invested in meeting the most critical needs in our community. As we all know, with COVID-19, the needs are great and very different from where we were just a short time ago. So in 2019, United Way Clallam County invested over $1.4 million back into our community. And this was done through the COVID response fund. So this fund was started with $100,000 from the Clallam Community Foundation. And to date, we've been able to award 35 relief grants to nonprofits in our area. And these aren't just our partner agencies. This is any nonprofit can apply for COVID relief funds. Over $647,000 were raised through campaign donations. So this is what we're in right now. So our campaign kicked off last month on September 11th, and we will be going strong until the end of March. Our goal is to raise $800,000 for this year. it's a big reach, but I know our community is amazing and we can do it. Next up, our foundation impact. So the Clallam Community Foundation provides grants and scholarships for early learning programs, funding for youth and the elderly, and assistance to women fleeing domestic violence. And the United Way also helps manage the grant process for the Albert Haller Foundation, which provides food and basic needs to over 50 nonprofits each year. So we were able to help them infuse over $250,000 back into Clallam County. And so your donations in action. So through the Clallam COVID-19 Response Fund, one of our most recent COVID relief grants was awarded to the Port Angeles Education Foundation to help provide funding for internet connectivity to students within the district. So we were happy and proud to partner with the Education Foundation to help support that initiative. And so here's more foundation dollars at work. So in 2019, over $24,000 went to scholarships for students in our region to attend college. $50,000 went to early learning projects that helped 4,219 children, parents, and teachers in Clallam County. And then the Albert and Helen Mangan Fund supports the operations of the Clallam Resilience Project. That we'll learn about here shortly. So 40,000 was invested there. And then, like I said earlier, the COVID Response Fund was kickstarted with $100,000 from the foundation. And to date, our community has raised an additional $158,000. So we're looking at over $258,000 that is being funneled back into our community just as quickly as we can and as the needs are being addressed. So United Way of Clallam County has 4 community impact projects that we are focusing on right now. First up is 211. So this we fund this helpline. So 211, it's an easy to remember phone number to call for health and human service information. You can get referrals and other assistance to meet needs in our community. So just well, 911 is emergency services, 211 is for things like housing, shelter, rent, and transportation. And the most requested resources in the last 6 months have been for utilities and rent assistance. Next up, we have the Clallam Resilience Project. So the Clallam Resilience Project is a consortium of over 50 local organizations working together to foster resiliency for our residents, organizations, and our community. So using research from neuroscience, we provide opportunities to connect, learn, and educate on how and why to apply trauma-sensitive practices countywide. And especially during this pandemic, there's a pressing need to support the building of individual agency and community resilience. So the timing is great for this project in our region. We also have the Get It Done Fund. So United Way and Peninsula College partnered together to create this fund last year. And this fund allows students to request help with financial barriers and provides a way for community members to offer tutoring and motivational support. So in 2019, 12 students received assistance and 2 students were able to avoid eviction and potentially homelessness in order to focus on schooling and getting their high school equivalency. Pretty cool. And we also have Youth United. So Youth United is a partnership between the United Way and local high schools that encourages volunteerism in our community. And students can earn a varsity letter in service. So we work with students and clubs with similar interests at the high school to help connect students with different opportunities. So last year, I think the last time I was able to attend a Port Angeles School District Board meeting, I was talking about Youth United and the 11 Port Angeles high school students that volunteered a combined total of 1,950 hours in 2019. Incredible. I get worked up about it. I think it's amazing. So, so these students, 1,950 hours of community service to over 50 organizations. And then it's really exciting. And then for some reason, the Clallam Literacy Council didn't make it to this slide, but I wanted to make sure that they still get a shout out. So the Literacy Council advocates for literacy at all ages in Clallam County. And it consists of volunteers from throughout the community. And historically, we've given out over 4,000 books each year. We've held fundraisers like Bowling for Books and attended back to school fairs, the drive-through. This last year, we had books at the drive-through, back to school fairs, different community events. And this year we held a writing contest asking students to describe why reading is so important to them. And we were able to award some Kindle Fire books or ebooks for them to use to read. So our theme this year is Respond, Recover, Reimagine, and Rebuild. And how are we going to do this? And so our answer is through our campaign. So we're going to ask for donations at employers, at special events, online, and in the mail. And like I said earlier, our goal this year is $800,000. And our motto is give, advocate, and volunteer. So by giving, you can give through an employee campaign you're associated with, or you can also donate online or in the mail. And then online, we actually just launched our new website. So if you guys have a moment at some point to head on over and check it out, it was a big undertaking for us, but we were able to get that kickstarted last month for our campaign. And then also advocating. So another way to be involved with United Way is to be an advocate. Let your coworkers, friends, and family know what you need and help spread the word. And also volunteer. So meaningful community solutions require more than just programs. Sometimes the best way is to roll up your sleeves and be involved. So make sure you stay up to date and follow us on social media. We send out a monthly newsletter that talks about our partner agencies, what we're doing. Right now on our website and Facebook page, we're having an online raffle where Bike Garage donated a Fuji Sportive road bike. So we're raffling that off. You have about a little over a week to get raffle tickets. If you're interested, you can maybe win a new bicycle. And next month, we're going to be raffling off a new LibTech snowboard. So we're getting creative with our online virtual raffle opportunities. So yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to the opportunity to partner with you while we respond, recover, reimagine, and rebuild. Thank you so much for your time.
Carmen, thank you. This is wonderful. We all love the United Way, and the work you do is spectacular. It's always amazing to see all the agencies that you partner with throughout our county. I used to serve on your board. Sarah did too. We all worked with United Way, and have a great fondness for your work. And thank you very much for it. And thank you for your presentation tonight.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate that and all you guys do and your support. We can't do it together. We're stronger together. So thank you so much.
Well, I mean, and everyone else is more than welcome to, try and win that raffle, but that bike's mine.
All right.
Sorry. I'm sure I've already won it. So.
I'll put good vibes out there for you.
Excellent. Any comments or questions or from the board or Marty, anything to say? Well, we thank you all again, and that's going to move us down into our last item, 7.05, National School Bus Safety Week. And we're trying to recognize tonight all of our wonderful bus drivers, all our transportation department, and there's nothing we could do without them. They are certainly dedicated to serving our students every day. This summer, they were so grand about taking and delivering food to students and their families. So we're very pleased to recognize them tonight. Marty, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, our transportation department has, when you talk about reimagine and rebuild, they've taken on a whole new, typically our bus routes are driven by very routine routes, daily, AM, PM routes. And this year, our transportation department has, been so flexible and, really helped to think outside the box and reimagine how we can transport students differently and transport food and Wi-Fi hotspots and, moving students to childcare providers, moving students to, other learning spaces across our district. We've had to really reimagine, and under Karen Ross's leadership and the team as a whole, from top to bottom, they have done so this year with flying colors. So without their supports, again, what we're trying to do now with regards to reimagine how we're providing education, it would be impossible. So I am very honored to recognize them this evening for Bus Safety Week.
Thank you, Marty. Any other comments from our board of directors? Okay, well, again, Karen, thank you, and thank all your staff for us. You're doing a bang-up job, and we really appreciate you. That moves us down to our business and financial reports. It's time for Kyra, excuse me. I have Karen and Kyra on my mind. Kyra, for you to give us our September financials. Are you there? There you are.
I'm here. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. How are you? How's everyone?
I think we're all doing pretty well to be here tonight.
Good. Yes. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. So our September financials. I'm going to make it a little big. Can you guys see it? I'm going to make it a little bigger, actually. Okay, so just going to look at our different fund balances here. General fund, there's a projected ending fund balance of about 4.6. It's still looking about like that. We might drop a little bit to a little below 4.6, but feeling pretty confident we're going to turn in our year end next week. So there's still a few more things I'm going to look at, but I'm pretty confident with that number. Ending with capital projects at 4.7. Here I'm looking down this 2021 budget to actual here. Here you can see our budgeted, the new income that will come in from the capital levy of 5.7, and then some of those projects that we're going to work on with the capital funds for 1.5. So, definitely got some things planned in capital, and we'll be using those funds to move forward. But we have just about 450,000 left from the end of last year for 1920. Here we've got debt services, obviously just a little balance there from interest that's been accruing for the last few years. ASB, you can see we have quite a difference between last year and this year. And that's due to not collecting any fees or charges for ASB cards. So usually in August and September, we collect those funds, and this year we didn't do that. So that's going to be the big difference. But we still have some of those expenses that were right in line with what we were doing last year. So hopefully we'll be able to get kiddos in school and have some fundraisers and do some things in ASB, so that can continue to be a topic there. So, and then of course, nothing's in transportation vehicle fund right now. Here's the progress of our fund balance and what I was talking about earlier with the about 4.6, what's projected there at the end of August. Still right in that range, higher than a few years. We're still higher. The highest year we had at 18-19 with that projected fund balance. So here we've broken out all of the programs, and a couple things I just wanted you to see. A big difference in our ALE education. That's program 02. That is where Seaview lives. So there's a big difference this year from last year when you look at the reports, if you're curious about that. We're going to have quite a few expenses from salaries and the tuition that we pay Ingenuity. That's higher because we have so many more kids. Also wanted to point out this District 97. This is district-wide support. So that's a lot, that's quite a bit higher than it usually is. And I wanted to point out that that is where all of our COVID expenses are charged to. So any extra time that's COVID related, any additional items that we need to purchase, the hotspots that we've purchased for internet support out in the buildings, the wave, everything that we're purchasing and being reimbursed for COVID is going to pretty much live in that 9,700 district wide. So when you see that number being elevated, that's why. Oh, and one thing I meant to mention when I first started, at the last meeting when we talked about enrollment, I didn't have the running start numbers. And so I wanted to follow up. We are at 135.66 FTE, which are of students that are enrolled for this semester or this quarter, starting running start. So that's a difference of 11.26. So that's lower than last year. We were at 146.92 last year. So Sandy, I know that you were pretty curious about those numbers. So I wanted to follow up and make sure that you knew where we were.
Thank you, Kyra.
So moving into expenditures other than compensation, this is a little higher from, compared to last September. And it's really where the expenditures lie between, like with 1920, there might have been some that we paid in 1920 and not in 1819. So, to compare apples to apples, it's kind of hard, but that 993,000 there, that is higher. And there are items in there that like I said, I mentioned that are in that program 9,700 where we paid for additional supports for COVID. So that's why that's a little bit higher. And then with salary and benefits compared to last year. So I spent some time before the meeting really looking at why that was higher than last year. That additional 131,000, there was a lot of extra time that was spent getting ready for school with teachers and paras. There was about 200,000 in both salary and benefits getting ready for school. So a lot of extra time with CVU teachers learning and getting trained. That's all in that higher elevated number. So it adds up fast, and that's why that's a little bit higher. So we'll continue to watch because we're really, we eliminated a lot of those expenditures with in looking at finding that 2.8 million for the loss in enrollment, really making sure that these numbers, that we understand what's in these numbers. You can see that it's still quite a bit lower than where we ended up in August. We averaged, we ended up at 3.8 for salary and benefits for August. So, that translated up here underneath the 3.6, that's definitely lower. And we know that it's elevated by about 200,000 with extra costs. So So our salary and benefit expenditures are definitely down, and we'll continue to watch those. So that is my September, those are my September numbers. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Board?
That looks pretty clear to me.
Okay. All right, Kyra, thank you for getting us up to date and keeping us up to date. And while you're here now, we're going to ask you to talk about free and reduced.
Okay. So we've seen a drop in free and reduced, but that's mainly because of the drop of enrollment. Wendy has done an amazing job continuing to capture all of those free and reduced applications. And then of course, staff has done a great job still explaining to people that yes, we are receiving free meals and we'll receive free meals all year long, but we still need your applications. So we, just been trying to promote that so that we can continue that. I need to get, there we go. So district-wide, we're still right there at 50%, 50.2. It is down from last year by 211. But we've just been trying to promote and get those up, but the percentages are close to what we had last year, just based on because enrollment's down, so the applications are in and the percentages would stay about the same. So I had this other piece I wanted to, does anyone have any questions about these numbers? This is just compared 1920 to 2021 of October 1st.
No.
Okay. I did want to share, a lot of our funding is based on, this wasn't in your packet, but I wanted to show you how the funding for our title programs and our LAP programs is based on a 3-year average of the schools that are included. So that's why we want to keep our numbers up as high as we can. But here you can see the average 18-19, you take the year before data. And then our 3-year average here at Dry Creek, 63%, Franklin 54, Hamilton 50. It's right at that cusp there that we would worried a little bit more about Hamilton, and we're having to reach out to more families in Hamilton because we didn't get as many applications there. So that's how we, those percentages, that's why we want to keep those up over 50% as a rule, so that we can continue to get that 3-year average and get the title funding for the elementary schools and Lincoln. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from our board members? Okay, Kyra, thank you much for keeping us up to date, and we appreciate.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Did I hear somebody ask a question? Okay. Thank you, Kyra.
Thank you.
Okay. So it's time for discussion and action items. The first action item has to do with an approval of resolution 2021-04, resolution expressing support of proposition 1. This is on our ballots now. Replacement of educational programs and operation levy. This is the EP&O, and we are now allowed to support that publicly. Is that correct, Marty?
Yes, if the board adopts this resolution this evening, the board can, speak on behalf of the school district in support of this resolution. It's important to note that, in our dialogue this evening, that if there are any community members in the room that choose to speak in favor or against, that they be allowed to do so before the vote of the board.
Okay, do we need to read this resolution publicly?
That's at your discretion, President
Okay.
Clallam.
I have it pulled up if you want me to read it.
Thanks. That would be great, Jake. I appreciate that.
Okay, here we go. Resolution number 2021-04. Making sure I'm unmuted. Okay, good. A resolution of the Board of Directors of Port Angeles School District number 121, Clallam County, Washington, expressing its strong support for passage of the district's November 3rd, 2020 ballot proposition number 1, replacement education programs and operation levy, and providing for related matters. Be it resolved by the Board of Directors of Port Angeles School District number 121, Clallam County, Washington, as follows. Section 1. The Board of Directors, the Board of Port Angeles School District number 121, Clallam County, Washington, called the District, takes note of the following facts and makes the following findings and determinations. A. On July 23rd, 2020, the Board adopted Resolution number 1920-15, which submits to the district's voters at the November 3rd, 2020 general election a ballot proposition authorizing the district to impose a 4-year replacement education programs and operations levy, the EPO levy ballot proposition. B. In Resolution number 1920-15, the Board found and determined that the EPO levy ballot proposition is necessary to permit the district to meet the educational needs of its students and pay expenses of educational programs and operation support not funded by the state of Washington. Accordingly, the Board desires to express its strong support for passage of the EPO levy ballot proposition at an open public meeting on October 22nd, 2020. Open public meeting, we'll call it, pursuant to RCW 42.17A.555. C. All required notices of the open public meeting included the title, Replacement Education Programs and Operation Levy, and number of the EPO levy ballot proposition number 1. Members of the Board and members of the public were given equal opportunity to express an opposing view at the open public meeting, and all who wished to speak were heard. Section 2. Pursuant to RCW 42.17A.555, the Board, after due consideration and being fully informed and advised, hereby expresses its strong support for passage of the EPO levy ballot proposition. Section 3. This resolution takes effect from and after its adoption. Adopted by the Board of Directors of Port Angeles School District number 121, Clallam County, Washington, at a regular open public meeting thereof, held this 22nd day of October 2020, the following directors being present and voting in favor of the resolution.
Okay. Thank you, Jake. Do I hear a motion to support this resolution?
Director Methner will support.
Resolution.
Director Marks will second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
No, President
sorry.
Long, we have to have an opportunity for community comment.
Okay.
Or against prior to vote. So
I'm sorry. Do we have any
Marty?
community comments?
There are no comments at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded that we that we pass this resolution. Now can we take a vote? All in
Yes.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution passes. Thank you. And thank you, Jake, again for reading that for us.
Welcome.
We've now, and we need to remind all our friends and neighbors that this is an important levy to vote yes. We have removed 9.02 from the agenda, which leads us to 9.03, approval of Mount Pleasant property sale agreement. Marty, would you like to talk about this?
Yes, Kyra's going to take the lead and I will support. Kyra?
Okay. Kara?
Okay, so a part of this, do you want me to bring up the addendum that, should I share that on my screen?
Yes, please.
What's that? I know you guys have it all in front of you, but I wasn't sure.
Just, share it, please.
Okay.
I've read through it.
Yeah, I think we've all read it, but
Kyra, you should be able to go ahead and overlap the other recording now, or the other screen, I believe.
It says that it won't let me. Oh, maybe it will.
I stopped sharing. Sorry about that. I can pull it up too if you like.
Yeah, if you don't mind bringing it up, that might be easier for them to see.
Okay. And which one was it, Kyra?
It was the addendum to the counteroffer. So as she's bringing it up for us, part of the reason that we've added this addendum to the counter, so we received multiple offers, just to kind of update you. We received multiple offers back on September 6th when the sale closed, and we went through all of the offers and found the highest was right at about 128,000. So there's still a lot of issues with the property that we've been concerned about moving forward on, and wanting to be really, really careful and upfront with the potential buyers before we went under contract with that. So we worked closely with the lawyers, with our real estate attorney, to kind of help us walk through what the counteroffer could look like and what the contract should look like. And so we've included an addendum with our counteroffer that points out three areas of concern, wanting to make sure that we're on the same page. So there's a reversion clause in the deed right now that says that if we are no longer using the property for school purposes, then we will, it's actually the other one, Jenny. So if we,
I don't have those in my files. I'm taking it off of Board Docs, so hold on.
okay.
The reversion clause is
the water rights clause.
where does
Yeah,
it
so the reversion clauses is that if we no longer want to use the land for school purposes and we're selling the land, then it reverts back to the original owner at the time of selling. So that was, of course, in 1906. And this is only, to be clear, this is only 1 acre of the 2.3 acres that we have this reversion clause on.
Who was the owner?
The owner was Draper. I believe it was, the original owner was Draper.
And so who would be holding his estate now?
So there's multiple people, and then we've been tracking them down really for years. We've been tracking as many down as we possibly can. And some heirs, there's a few other heirs that we have contacted. Our attorneys have been contacting them for, getting them to sign quick claim deeds. So, just saying that they no longer have or they don't have an interest in the, there's some that we have been unable to reach or talk to yet. So really what the addendum is to just share that we're going to do our due diligence the best we can in getting all of these errors cleared up. And then at the time of closing, we will, share who's possibly out there that with the research that we had, we'll turn that information over. But this addendum really just says that this, yeah, perfect. The underlined areas there, actually, whoop, there we go. So it talks about with that reversion clause that, we're trying to get them all signed off and be as diligent as possible. The other piece to it, go ahead.
If we can't clear the title prior to closing, then do we have to terminate the contract?
No, the attorneys have said that we still can sell. We can still sell the property, but they are actually signing that they understand that there's additional heirs out there, and that they, they could attempt to continue to clean that up, but we would have no, there would be no recourse on the district at that point. Does that make sense, Jacob?
And we've been really careful about working with our legal representation to make sure that we, I call it dot all our I's and cross all our T's with regards to this process. And our attorney, the document that you're seeing tonight was prepared by a district representative.
Right. No, I read through it. It's incredibly thorough and definitely indemnifies us. I just thought it would be hard for me to sign from the buyer side. But as far as, from the district's perspective, I'd say that we're covered.
Good.
And verbally, the buyers have said that they're fine with this. They've communicated with our broker and have told us that that's okay. I mean, we are asking for board approval to move forward with this, and they won't be able or won't have a chance to sign until after you approve it. So they're aware of all of this, and this is the process of letting them know, and hopefully they're okay with moving forward. The other piece in the addendum references the water issue, mainly with the Grange. So there were two issues with the Grange. They, in trying to be, it's actually, okay, that works, thank you. In trying to be good stewards of the community there in Mount Pleasant, that the Grange has used the well for that property and have used it for the edge of their property for parking. So the Grange has been the Grange Association has been very vocal about their concern in not having access to water and not having enough parking for their members. So we just put that in the addendum that we want the buyers to be aware that they hopefully just to have a conversation and be able to try to work something out. So that that we're able to work with the Grange, that the new buyers will be open to working with the new with the association. So
and although we haven't spoke to the potential buyers directly yet, our representative or our realtor has through their realtor, and at least initially in just conversation, it appears that they understand the three provisions that we have put within this counter agreement, but we will soon find out if that will proceed based on your potential approval tonight, and share it for their consideration.
Well, I would move to approve this counteroffer.
Do I hear a second?
Director Methenroll, second.
Okay, discussion from the board. Any discussion? Well, it's been moved.
I feel like my questions have been cleared up. Thank you, Kyra.
Yeah, thank you. Good. That's great. It's
And
such
Kyra,
a
thank you.
Of course,
Excuse
there's so much to it. It's been I never thought I would learn so much about selling land, but it's been it's quite the journey. So thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
Super complicated.
Okay, well, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the sale agreement as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes. Thank you, Kyra. And Jake, thank you for your insight. We're so fortunate to have a really good realtor on our board. Thank you so much for helping us with that.
You're welcome, Sandy.
Okay, that takes us down to 9.04, approval of the first reading of policy 3414, infectious disease. Do I hear a motion?
I will move to approve this reading.
Director Methenroll, second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes. 9.05. Approval of the first reading of policy 3418, response to student injury or illness. Do I hear a motion?
Director Marks will move.
Thank you.
Director Wright will second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. The motion passes. This brings us to 9.06, approval of the first reading of policy 6512, infection control program.
Director Wright will move to approve the first reading.
Okay. Do I hear a
Director
second?
Marks will second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve this policy. All in favor, excuse me, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. And the motion passes. That brings us down to the approval of the Port Angeles Capital Advisory Committee members. Marty, would you like to speak to our meeting that we had prior to this, our work study?
Yeah, after review of the applicants, we had 6 community positions and we had 5 applicants. The recommendation for this evening will be to include the following: Kyra Horton as a community representative, Sean Worthington as a community representative, Mike French as a community representative, Steve Methner as a community representative, and Lynn Birch, Brooke, contingent upon Lynn's willingness to complete the written portion of the application. So that is my recommendation based on discussion from our study session this evening to the board.
Do I have a motion? Hear a motion?
Director Marks will motion.
Thank you.
Director
Second?
Wright will second. I was muted.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve these people for our membership on our Port Angeles Capital Advisory Committee. Is there any discussion? All right. In that case, we'll vote on this. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, no. Okay.
Abstention?
I'm so sorry. And abstentions?
Aye.
Thank you, Sarah. With that, the motion passes. And do we need to talk about advertising for the other position?
No, I will manage. We have one outstanding position, and I will promote that accordingly and bring back the applications to the board at a future meeting.
Thank you, Marty. And that brings us down to community comments on non-agenda items. Jenny, or Christian, have we had any community comments?
No, ma'am, we do not have any comments at this time.
Okay, thank you. So that brings us down to Board of Director comments. I'd like to go first of all to our student members. Lakin?
Hi, so we've been having a lot of fun over at Lincoln. We were able to have a pumpkin contest this week. And the big thing for this week is we've been able to start afternoon tutoring for all students. There's 2 groups. Group A goes in Monday and Thursdays, and then Group B goes in Tuesdays and Fridays, and it's all through from 12:30 to 3 o'clock. And then if there's enough space, you can go in whenever you want, as long as it's not on Wednesday, because there isn't anybody there Wednesday. And people have been getting calls about it all week. You can go in whenever you get assigned your group, and you can go in. That's been our.
Okay, Lakin, thank you. I'm having trouble. I don't know if it's just my ears or I'm having trouble hearing, Lakin. Did everyone hear what she said?
It was
Okay.
faint. You're not crazy.
Okay. All right. Maisie, would you like to be next, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, so I just want to start off by saying, so far for online school, we're just finishing up our 7th week, and we'll be going into the 8th week next week of 9. So students will be switching classes for the 4 through 7 soon here in November. I got an update about our tutoring at school, and it seems like more students are taking advantage of the opportunities that we have there. So it's a really good sign that we have kids reaching out for help. And clubs, now that they're meeting online, they're settling into regular meetings, and we're looking forward to having some clubs be able to be on campus to do things and taking the proper precautions to do that. For sports, I know we have a lot of happy students out here at the high school. Even if you were to take an evening and go up to the gym or the field, I think you'd see some excited students who are happy to be back playing sports again under the proper precautions, and most of them are practicing right now. So that's a really good sign, and I think I can speak for the high school in saying that students are happy to be able to have some normalcy back. And lastly, just on behalf of the leadership team and just at the high school, homecoming talks are underway about possible events or something in the spring to get our spirit up in a safe way, and other spirit events and competitions are to come. So that's what's going on at the high school. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maisie. I'm glad to hear that things are popping on both campuses and that people are beginning to safely return to a few of their traditional kinds of classes and their clubs and just some activities in athletics. That's wonderful. We're all happy about that. And I know the students are happy also. So thank you for your report. Director Marks, you want to report next?
Oh, I'm going to pass. Thanks.
Okay. Jake?
Hey there. So I was really happy to see Gary's report tonight, to see a semblance of normal beginning. I know I'm ready to get into some of these committee meetings and start getting back to doing some of the work that we were doing before the pandemic hit. And I know I have been talking to community members and parents, and I know that we're on track right now to really get a lot of the elementary students back in school, and that's going to take a ton of pressure off our community right now. It's a big deal, and especially at that age, what I'm feeling is what I'm getting from the parents is that, you know, especially up to 5th grade, are kids who can't be left at home, right? So once we have, you know, K through 6th going back to school, at least in a hybrid fashion, it's going to relieve a ton of pressure off the workforce in Port Angeles. So I think that we're doing an awesome job right now. And I just wanted to commend our administration for doing that, because the town really appreciates it. That's all I've got.
Yes, they do. Thank you, Jake. Sarah?
Okay, well, it's been a great week, honestly. Sandy and I mean, well, I'll tell everybody, but we went to Roosevelt Elementary on Monday when they got their 1st and 2nd graders back, and it was amazing. The kids were so good, and they were all working. One teacher said that it felt like because they'd already had 6 weeks of online, that the kids felt they knew the teacher, and And so they were ready to just really hop down and get right to it. Sandy did very well. She did not cry very
I'm
much.
proud.
A little bit, but not very much. And the teachers were exceptional. They were focused, but they were very happy to see us. I mean, really happy to see us. And I think they were very happy to be back in school. And I feel honestly, if we can keep that sort of, we're going to go on Friday. Sandy and I we're doing our own little road show now. We're going to go to Franklin on tomorrow. I think that it matters to the teachers that we're going out there and seeing what they're doing. And I think that the kids who have no idea who we are, but they're always excited when new people come into the room. Everybody is doing really well. We even got as far as going to see, talk to some of the women who were working in the lunchroom and talk about difficult jobs. We're now not, the food isn't going out on the buses anymore. They're having, in some cases, to prepare 7 meals at a time, and they're sending food home with kids who are there, and then they're preparing food for kids to come get. It's a really complicated system, and they're doing it with smiles on their faces and working really hard. So if you see anybody who's affiliated with Sodexo, give them an extra pat because they're really crushing it. Other than that, agenda review, reading stuff, trying to figure out what's going to happen going forward. And that's all.
Thank you, Sarah. And I have to ditto that. That was so much fun. Seeing the students, it's just an amazing gift to be able to go out there and visit in the schools. And I have friends who have been volunteers for years in the schools, and they are just chomping at the bit to get back as a volunteer into the schools. So we're doing good. And I have to commend Marty and his staff, the cabinet, all the teachers, all the principals, all the staff. It's just amazing. It's just amazing that we have pulled this off. I am thrilled, and I don't really understand how it works. It's just amazing to me. So I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve on this board and to help our community get started. And I want to thank everybody in the community who's wearing a mask and keeping proper social distance, so our numbers stay low enough so we can keep our kids in school and work toward getting our middle and high school kids out there. I also went to by Zoom the Port Angeles Ed Foundation meeting, and I was glad to get back with them. It's such a good group of people, and I thank them again for our board of the money that they gave, the donation to help with the Wi-Fi connections. That's a huge commitment from them, and they're just waiting there to look at teacher grants now and see what's going to go on. So I'm thankful to that group of community citizens, and that's about it for me. Marty, I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you very much. So as you know, we're progressing nicely, slow, steady, progressive steps to reopen our schools in a safe manner. I appreciate the board support in doing so. That's not easy. I mean, there's a sense of urgency to, move fast and move hard. And, we are being very methodical, and we're having success. And thank you, Director Long and Methner, for your comments around seeing how the protocols are working within our schools with our youngest learners. So we started first and second grade on Monday, and we will bring in third and fourth grade on November 2nd, and we will bring in fifth and sixth grade on November 9th. And again, we're starting to progress at a faster rate because of our success rate and because our protocols are working. And so I'm really excited to report that. And as Jake referenced, it will be a huge relief to our community to be able to have, students back in school in some capacity, and we're making good progress. I want to just again, and I know the board's aware of this, but the community that has an opportunity to see this, we're leading this work. If you really look at districts in our region that are of size greater than 3,000 students, there's nobody outpacing us to return students to school. And that's beyond our region, that's across the state. I don't know if anybody reads e-clippings, but if you read e-clippings daily, you hear a lot of news stories around schools are starting and then schools are not, and then schools are starting. And so we're doing it, we're starting, and we're bringing our students back. I want to share with you a document that Christian and actually Jen Spurline put together for us. And if you do read e-clippings, there was a piece around some schools on the east side of the state maybe not reporting COVID cases within schools. So this is on our this is on our main web page, the main page, and it is updated daily. And so it does two things for us. Number one, it dispels the concept that our students aren't on campus. You can see really clearly that, in a week's time, we have 558 students on our campus already. And when we bring 3rd and 4th grade back here in another week and a half, that number will exceed 700. And so we're making progress. Right now, we have about 17% of our students on campus. You can see the number of staff that we have on campus. So it's a good way to refer, community members with concerns around, our schools are closed. They're actually not closed. They're opened up, and we have students coming back in a very methodical way. But it also will give us the ability to track confirmed cases in our schools and also quarantine in our schools. And why we put this together is the concern about how rumors get spread in our community. And as soon as there's one, there's going to be talk about, we have an outbreak at a school. This is where you go. This will be updated every day when there's a positive within our school, whether that be a staff member or a student. Now, we're not going to call it out on this chart for respect, of the individual. But if you look at the Dry Creek line, and if an A group is positive, it will be articulated as a 1. And then from that close contact study that will be done by the Department of Health, there may be 3 people quarantined because of that. You will see that in the close contact quarantine as a 3. And so you'll be able to look at this on a daily basis and see real-time data as a community member, what's happening in our schools. And I'm really happy to report right now, we have 0 cases within our schools and 0 individuals quarantined. Again, this will be a 2-week window, and we'll keep the community, the staff, our parents, and our students updated on what's happening within our schools. But also down here, and we wanted to make sure that we promoted full transparency, a historical look, because if we get a positive at Dry Creek, after 14 days it falls off, right? Because of the cycle. But that number will be a running total right down here for Dry Creek as a 1. Now, we're not going to track the quarantines, but we will track the positives. And so you do have a historical view down here that will be a total for the year. So this will be just a great tool that any individual in our community can log on daily, take a look, see how many kids are in school, how many students have been quarantined, or how many individuals have been quarantined, how many individuals are positive, COVID positive. So really proud of this work. I think it will put us out ahead of the curve once again, just as we're leading, bringing our students back, put us out ahead of the curve, really enhancing good, clean, crisp communication. Because again, my fear is when we have one, the talk will be out there. What is it really? And so this is the data that we'll fall back on. So again, thank you to Christian. Thank you to Jen Spurline for helping to put this together. And I think it will be a great way for us to maintain a high level of communication with all involved. I think that concludes it for this evening.
Okay.
Can I speak to that for a moment? It's very interesting. This is very topical because this just came up in a Facebook thread. There was a lot of anger. A woman had said that her school had a positive case, but they wouldn't say anything about it. And she didn't know anything if they really had a case, but there was no information coming from the school who had it and such. So this is a great way to sort of tamp down those rumors. The next question obviously is going to be, so what is your plan for when a case pops? Because we all know cases are going to pop because they just are.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, how are we communicating that?
Yeah, so we have a health department requirement. If we have a positive within a school, we send out, we've already created a form letter that will be sent to the entire population of that school, staff and students, that we have a COVID positive within, school X. We will work hand in hand with the health department. Health department will use their resources and our resources to do a contact trace and quarantine individuals that have had high risk or close contact with the COVID positive. And so those will be our first initial steps. But on the day that we have a confirmed COVID positive, everybody will get a letter and a communication that we do have it within the school. What we won't do, Sarah, is it will not articulate a grade level. It won't articulate, a student versus a staff member. It's and that's out of, respect and also laws as it relates to privacy and health related issues. So I know there's going to be a lot of scrutiny around, I need to know what grade, I need to know who, I need to know, but we will not be able to share that. What we will be able to share is we have a positive and in school X, and we're working with the health department and we're quarantined as needed. But, I think the one thing we need to educate our community on, I need to educate our community on, and I could use your help, is a single case in a school doesn't close the school. And the perfect example of that is, this summer, and I was just meeting with one of our daycare providers or child care providers. There was a positive in a child care provider this summer. And, the reaction was close the entire program down. And in the end, everybody was tested. The program closed down for 14 days. And in the end, because of social distancing, because of masks, because of cleaning procedures, nobody else got it. Okay. No, it did. And so, that's a good frame of mind that if we practice what, and that's why it's so important that we're methodical at rolling out our grades, because we want to have, if we end up with a positive, when we do that contact tracing, we don't want very many people quarantined, if any. And if we do our job and social distance and mask, we won't have many quarantines and we won't have the closure of a classroom or a school. Again, how the health officer, and I've asked this question last spring, how will a school be closed? 2 reasons. Number one, the community rate goes, above 75 per 100,000, and 2, or 2, not and, or 2, is there community transmission within the school. Mm-hmm. So if they can't contain it through quarantine and it's traveling within a classroom or a school, the school will be closed. And so again, our due diligence to our procedures and the work that we're doing that are proven to work will save our schools and keep them open. And that's the ultimate goal here. There's nobody in this room, there's nobody in this community that wants to see them open and then turn back to a closure. So we are going to, and I'm committed, and I know the board's committed, we're committed to doing that on our part at the school level. We're going to work as hard as we can to avoid that. And so yeah, so those are our initial procedures, Sarah, and we work very closely hand in hand with the Department of Health and Dr. Unthink to carry out that work.
You know what I would also love to see is if we could put something together about how, I don't know how to do this, but the actual cleaning protocols. Sandy and I, Dina Deuce showed us or talked to us about this gun thing, this spray gun that they're using. And I don't know that a lot of people know about how that goes underneath and the ionization or what have you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of important information that I would love to, I don't know, I don't want to make more work for people, but that was I thought that was very enlightening.
And that's
soothing.
a hard story to tell. And, you know, nobody wants to read an email or a newspaper article about that. But I was thinking about that myself and maybe doing a video, a short 1-minute video, just to show the community what our cleaning protocols are. Because you're right. Yeah. Like when students eat in the classroom and then they go out to recess, like our custodians in the buildings are taking that electrostatic, I think is the name of the gun. And they go in there and they can completely disinfect a room from top to bottom. And that's hard surfaces and soft surfaces. So chairs and carpet and you name it, it completely disinfects the room in a matter of minutes. The amount of time it takes to spray that within, it's a mist that goes on and it's got an electrostatic charge in it. And so you don't have to wipe it. It goes on in a mist, it sits there, and a minute later it's dry and it's completely disinfected. So
and food safe.
Yes, it is food safe.
You could bracket that little 1-minute video with the kindergartners doing the zombie walk. Have you seen this zombie walk thing that they're doing? Yeah. How adorable was that? I thought Sandy was that. The zombie walk is all the kids put their hands out way in front of them. And so that's to social distance them from the kid walking in front of them. Oh my gosh, so cute.
They were wonderful.
I want to see that thing because I'll be walking everywhere.
But you know, just to make the final comment. Thank you, Sarah, for your comments. But you know, our staff, like it, you know, doesn't matter where they work in our organization, they're working hard. And they're working hard for one reason, to bring students back on our campus. Everybody's working differently. And so I'm glad that you and Director Long have been in our schools to see that dedication of our professionals. And they're going to get it done. We're going to get this thing done. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yep, they are amazing. That brings us to where we're going to meet and how we're going to meet next school board meeting.
Okay, so again, appreciate your flexibility tonight. We with the proclamation that the governor signed around open public meetings and the existing law prior to the pandemic, the complication around us, the board meeting in person until the proclamation changes is this. The current law, the RCW, outlines that when a quorum of board members meet together, so 3 or more, in a public meeting, the community has an option to be at that meeting. And we know in this environment, if we're meeting in person at the Lincoln Center, we can't have the community attend. We could have the community attend by way of virtual, but not physically attend because of social distance and limitations of, you know, spaces, etc. And so I again appreciate your flexibility, you know, and we want to do our due diligence to abide by all of the laws. On your behalf, I spoke to state representatives today around our eagerness to lead by example. And, you know, we have kids and we have students and staff and administrators and bus drivers and you name it back in our schools. And our board has a desire to lead that work and be in person as well. And so I'm working with state leadership right now around a provision that would allow for us to meet in person, but allow for a link like this to be so an individual could zoom into the meeting so we could continue to lead by example. November 9th is the day that the current proclamation expires. The governor makes that call, but you have my assurance that I'll do what I can to try to give us some flexibility in being able for us to meet in person, but allow the community to meet virtually. And so we'll continue to work towards that. So I appreciate your flexibility at this meeting. Much appreciated. So our next meeting, and I can't tell you because November 9th is the date that our current proclamation expires. Our next meeting is set for November 12th. It is set to be either at the Lincoln Center or virtually, like we're meeting now, and more to follow based on the November 9th decision. It is a 7 p.m. meeting, and it's our Lower Elwha Clallam Tribe Port Angeles School District Partnership meeting. And so all of the work that we will do at this meeting will be representative of the work we do with the tribe. And so the tribal council will be at that meeting, and many other tribal leaders, including tribal staff members, will be at the meeting. At that meeting, items to cover will be teaching and learning report for tribal students, Native American education report and funding, impact aid report. We'll review the Lower Elwha Clallam Tribe Port Angeles School District MOU. We will recognize the individuals that were awarded the Heritage Grant recipients. And also we will recognize the importance of the month of November, as that is Native American Heritage Month. So with that being said, that would be our next meeting, and more to follow based on exactly how we meet.
Thank you, Marty. Is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good to see you. Sarah, I'll see you in the morning at 9:40. Bye. Meeting.
I just wanted to freak you out.